Hello and welcome to Insights, everyone. I'm Nnamdi Odipo. Today on Insights, we discuss ethical conduct for accountability at the National Assembly, specifically the House of Representatives, against the backdrop of some recent happenings amongst members. Honorable Philip Agbase, Deputy Spokesperson, House of Representatives, is on hand to provide some insight. Would also be engaging Emmanuel Eyang, Supervisory Councillor, Special Duty, Abuja Municipal Area Council AMAC, on the prevalence and menace of motor park operatives in the nation's capital and how touts have become a deadly problem.
Whatever the issues are,
the National Assembly is constitutionally empowered to scrutinize,
however complex or intricate.
We have involved all the academia, the members of the academia. We have involved the academies.
Be it government policies or in fact any issue of public concern.
Our job is to help you gain clarity and make sense of it all.
This is not really healthy for our democracy.
There's a lot of aggrievance in terms of who has been in power longest and who becomes the governor of the state.
It's also in the quality of food being consumed.
After all, perception is insight.
And gaining understanding is also getting insight.
The National Assembly is getting set to resume from its annual recess on Tuesday, September 23, 2025. The 2-month period of recess may have given the lawmakers some much-needed respite, but not totally or not completely, I should say. Many of them are still engaged in committee activities during this period. Incidentally, it is also during this period of recess, that we got reports of division within Nigeria's House of Representatives concerning the management, the payment and financing of constituency projects, amongst other issues that we also heard. This particular showdown or speculative division, is said to stem from issues surrounding the funding mechanism, the payments and oversight of constituency projects. And I dare say all of these boil down to accountability in public governance. Let me bring in Honorable Philip Agbase, Deputy Spokesperson, House of Representatives. He represents the good people of Ado, Okwogu, Agbadigbo federal constituencies at the Federal House of Representatives. Honorable, I am sure I murdered your federal constituency. Good to have you on the program. Would you please just reel out the correct pronunciations for my viewer, please?
Yeah, thank you, Nnamdi. It is actually Ado, Okwoku, Agbadigbo federal constituency.
Agbadigbo, thank you so much for coming on Insight. It's been a bit, a while since we had you here. Good to see you. Honorable, let me just jump right into it. I'm sure you are familiar with all of the issues. But just so we get straight to it, I would like to read a statement issued by your colleague, Honorable Akinrotimi Jr., on this same subject matter, where he said, and I'd like to quote him, he said very quickly, he said, "The House leadership reiterates its commitment to upholding transparency, inclusiveness, and fairness in its constitutional mandates of lawmaking, oversight, and representation." And he urged the public to ignore insinuations of a rift. He did go ahead to admit, however, that honorable members face pressure from constituents expecting nominated projects to be implemented in line with participatory development, but that these agitations are valid. He said, but that while these agitations are valid, they must be understood within current fiscal realities and not misrepresented. Honorable, that is what he said. My question to you, where is the misrepresentation coming from? And why would it seem like some lawmakers, at least enough of them, who are complaining loud enough to make the House leadership notice, are misrepresenting the workings of constituency project funding and oversight of such projects?
Well, thank you very much. The statement issued by the House spokesperson, Honorable Akinrotimi Jr., very explicit, very clear, straight to the issues, in line with our mandate as the People's House, in line with our mantra of transparency and open parliament. Now, let me take it from where he cited the issue of a representative function of the parliament. Yes, the issue of constituency project fall within of that function of the parliament, in the sense that when the national budget is prepared, members, who represent their people get to nominate very strategic projects into the national budget, and it is the duty of the executive in turn to fund and execute those projects. So, as a matter of fact, what actually brought about the misunderstanding within the context, as quoted in that press release.
Misrepresentation.
Yeah, not misrepresentation.
His words, not mine.
Yes, yes. So, yeah. In the question of the misrepresentation, I'll speak to that quickly too, is because our constituents have actually seen these projects that have been nominated, and they've been looking forward to having these projects to provide succor in their respective constituencies. For instance, if within this period of rainy season, as a lawmaker, you have nominated projects for the purpose of agricultural improvement in your constituency, and people are farming and they are expecting farming implements, and they have not gotten, of course, they would return back to the member to say, these things are not working. The other area to discuss the issue of misrepresentation is the fact that some lawmakers, because of the pressure, that they're facing from their constituents, started thinking that it was within, it was within the powers of the leadership of the House, particularly the Right Honorable Speaker, to effect the implementation of this project. And in that regard, I think the press statement did its best, to speak to that issue, and again to re-educate our colleagues, that it is not within the powers of Mr. Speaker, to implement this project. But one other angle that some of these agitators within the House were also speaking is the fact that, the posture of the leadership of the House today, is not the ruffle posture, because yes, it's not that posture, because we used to have that kind of parliament in the past where you expect, a military posture by the leadership of the parliament, particularly the House of Representatives. But to the best of my knowledge and what Nigerians can attest to is the fact that June 13, 2023, we elected a very responsible man, a great intellect, a humane person, very civilized in terms of posture and disposition to lead the parliament. And he's leading the parliament in line with his own philosophy and running an inclusive parliament that we all have submerged our various interests into that philosophy, to have a modern parliament in the House of Representatives. So this is actually the first time that members, are having this level of agitation. But to situate it in clear context, yes, it has nothing, to do with the office of the Right Honorable Speaker. It goes beyond him. It is the executive that has that responsibility to execute the budget. And I think what members actually expected of Mr. Speaker, is a situation where, we come up with resolutions that look like unionist perspective, just like what is happening between NUPEG and Dangote, to say we are going on strike, we are not going to entertain any dialogue. But again, if you look at it, this People's Parliament under the leadership of His Excellency Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas has been one, that has intervened, in critical situations. For instance, the impasse between the Academic Staff Union of Nigeria of universities and the federal government, sometimes the Nigeria Labour Congress and the federal government, and another time, I think June last year, when young Nigerians threatened, to go on rampage to reenact the NSAS struggle. Mr. Speaker, in his wisdom, intervened. So if you look at the posture of Mr. Speaker, you clearly understand that this is a nationalist, a patriot, who believes that dialogue, should be the best way to address some of this issue. And again... And
I mean, all you've enumerated are well and good. I mean, there's in fact, as a matter of fact, the 10th House of Representatives prides itself, just like you've mentioned here time and again, as the People's House. So, I mean, we've seen the House of Representatives take interest in several public issues, under the leadership of Speaker Tajuddin Abbas. And that, of course, again, is commendable. You know, in talking about the misrepresentation or supposed misrepresentation, you did say earlier in your intervention that constituency projects fall within the purview of the National Assembly. Yet again, somewhere down the line, you said that, look, constituency projects are the responsibilities of the executive. There appears to be somewhat of a disconnect there. So correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe perhaps you just correct this notion for us, or should I say widespread misconception amongst the public that legislators are directly responsible for project implementation rather than just recommending them to the executive. Is it therefore true that when these constituency projects fail, you know, the blame often falls on the legislator, even though the issues are beyond their direct control? Is that perhaps why, as lawmakers like you, lawmakers are very much invested in the success of constituency projects?
Yes, that is very, very important, because even in civilized democracies like the United States of America, lawmakers nominate projects that will have direct impact on their constituent. For instance, if you take the Lagos-Calabar coastal project, a road project, into cognizance, you understand that, yes, it's a massive project. In the same vein, how does that project affect the poor citizen of Nigeria living somewhere in Aikpacho in Agila district? This brings about the issue of constituency project. How does it affect that man in Karanamoda? How does it affect that woman in Otoeke? So these are basic interventions that, you know, have been registered by lawmakers as direct representatives of the people. And in effect, you know, we lobby and ensure that these projects are, you know, included in the budget. And when they are included in the budget, it is also because the parliament has the duty of oversighting the executive.
Yes.
Now, I stated earlier that the implementation of this project, in line with the 99 Constitution as amended, falls within the purview of the executive. They fund the project, they execute the project, they supervise the design. It is our own responsibility as a parliament oversighting the MDAs to ensure that these projects, not just projects, constituency projects alone, that everything that are captured in the appropriation bill prior to its becoming a law upon the assent of Mr. President are dutifully executed by the executive. That is one of our responsibilities as a parliament. So in this context, the parliament is not only interested, you know, in the constituency project. We want to see everything captured in the budget, because
including the payment for this project.
Yes, because if people have worked and you have certified that they have worked, they should be paid because they are Nigerians. And again, we are all interested in boosting the economy, and that is why we also encourage the executive to patronize indigenous contractors, so that things that can actually be sourced locally and executed locally are also done to improve on our economy. So back to your earlier question.
Yes.
Yes, lawmakers nominate this project, the executive implement the project. Now, it is not out of place for some lawmakers, you know, because the behavior of a lawmaker naturally is a product of the behavior of his constituents. If your constituents are restless, you will also, as a lawmaker, become restless. And it was that restlessness across the country by the constituents that resulted to the issue that was recorded in the paper. And as a parliament that is interested in transparency and accountability, we are not shying away from the fact that, yes, some lawmakers are actually feeling the pressure. Every one of us, including Mr. Speaker. Again, we must also give it to His Excellency the Right Honorable Speaker as not just a listening speaker, but as one who understands the body language of every member of the parliament, that immediately, you know, the agitation was recorded. He's decided to set up a committee headed by the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, His Excellency Right Honorable Benjamin Okeze-Kalu, and that committee went into work immediately. Within a period of 72 hours, the parliament was able to sit with the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Accountant General, and some of those issues were resolved. We are having subsequent engagement as a follow-up to that meeting, to ensure that the local contractors are paid for the 2024 projects that they've executed. Like I said earlier, not just about constituency projects, but work done, carried out by local contractors. Again, on the part of the Honorable Minister of Finance, they equally stated that it is part of the administration's fiscal policies, to ensure that before payments are rendered to contractors, they also, carry out their check and balances to ensure that these assignments were fully carried out, to the best of the agreements between the parties. That, again, as a parliament, we support that. We don't want a situation where contractors are also paid for work not executed.
True.
We want a situation where both parties have satisfied, the letters of the contracts between the parties. That is also part of our obligation as a parliament. And for now, that agitation has equally gone down because our constituents are now seeing from every part of the country that, yes, efforts are being made, to carry out these projects. Because you cannot tell a man in this rainy season that the bridge you promised as a lawmaker, to support their living standard in that community, and he has seen that has been captured, and he has seen the national budget that these projects were truly captured in the national budget, that these projects will no longer be executed. Remember that as a parliament and as politicians, we are also dealing with trust deficit between us and the electorate.
And that is something you and I will talk about down the line, the issue of trust deficit. And, the rather poor public perception of the National Assembly. But it will seem like the National Assembly has got this whole issue about the payment mechanism and payments of contractors, in the works, and you're going about resolving that issue. Let me move you on to another controversy that appears to, there appears to have also thrown up this whole issue of a possible or likely showdown at the House of Representatives. But this one is about the recruitment into the National Assembly bureaucracy. I wonder if, the Speaker's directive for a probe into the last recruitment exercise isn't an acknowledgement that the process may have been flawed or may not have been transparently done. Honorable, there are insinuations right now that, it's been there since the recruitment exercise did begin. There are insinuations that the House leadership did interfere, or should I say influence the process, even though it is the exclusive responsibility of the National Assembly Service Commission to conduct the recruitment exercise. What do you know, about that, enough to clear the air that the process was indeed followed, that the process of recruitment indeed followed the principle of federal character, inclusiveness, and was merit-driven? Otherwise, why is that also a bone of contention among lawmakers as well?
Well, now a committee has been set up in the wisdom of His Excellency, the Right Honorable Speaker Tajuddin Abbas GSON. The committee has been inaugurated. Work has started. And they are calling the relevant stakeholders to look at the issues within the framework of the committee, what you call the guidelines given by Parliament on what the committee should achieve. So it will be unfair for me, to talk about the issue of federal character as not to preempt the outcome of that committee. However, what members raise in that regards, is the fact that some members felt that since we have 360 constituencies, that at least members would have been given the opportunity to nominate at least one person, to represent the 360 constituencies, or even across the senatorial district. Again, that is actually not the first recruitment exercise that has taken place in the country. Two things we look at. We, of course, look at the issue of merit, and again, we look at the issue of catchment to balance the federal character principle. So, because as one who used to be an activist, I've equally followed issues with the federal character principle, and in some instances, we are told why, the quota for some states is higher than others. Because for an organization that is already overstaffed with people from a certain part of the country, when considering employment in that sector, subsequently, you would also consider the other areas that you have lesser number of people. Nevertheless, I believe in the wisdom of His Excellency, the Right Honorable Speaker. He's a man of he believes in fairness. He's a very transparent leader, and that was why when the issue was raised, he didn't waste time in constituting that committee. So I want Nigerians and my colleagues, for all of us to give the committee the benefit of the doubt that they will do justice to it, and their report will be considered by the entire parliament at the end of the day. I believe that the 10th House, just like even our colleagues who raised some of those issues, also have expressed their confidence in the committee that justice will be done at the end of the day. I want Nigerians to also know that, yes, this is the first time that they've elected, their own true representatives, that even issues like that within the parliament. In time past, the stories we hear about the parliament is about, how lawmakers, would distribute largesse. But today, you are now seeing lawmakers having issues as to how employment laws are distributed across the country.
Or is it that lawmakers are now wiser for it and are doing it more secretly?
Well, the truth of the matter is that since I came into the parliament, and I tell my friends... You
have not shared any Ghana must go?
I tell my friends that unfortunately, since I came, I've not seen a Ghana must go anywhere. I must confess also that I had that mindset even before I came on board that I was going to see some Ghana must go in the parliament. A lot of people are disappointed. But as a matter of fact, again, moving from Ghana must go, I'm actually happy. I'm excited about the work that we're doing for the country. I'm interested in the motions, the bills, that we have made so far. Okay. They are quite impactful. If you look at the Nigerian Student Loan Act, which is a product of this parliament, you see that Nigerian students are already benefiting from that. So for me, that is a much more lasting legacy than the issue of Ghana must go.
Sharing Ghana must go. Something that we've obviously seen, as observers, of the trend and keen watchers of activities there at the National Assembly, is that the 10th National Assembly, particularly the House of Representatives, has enjoyed some sorts of affinity, peace, as it would seem amongst its members. And this is regardless of political standings, ethnic and religious affiliations. But, we're seeing these little hiccups here and there, quarrel or protest or outcry over funding mechanisms for constituency projects. We're hearing about recruitment challenges and quota not being met and all of that. Is this a dent? Are we seeing a possible dent after, years of being, maintaining such a poise and stance? And now, are we beginning to see a crack?
No, let me quickly make my intervention there. Like I tell people, I've not seen an angel before. But if there is anyone that looks like one from what I've read in my religious philosophical materials, is the Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. I will tell Nigerians, I will say it again, that from my standpoint, from my viewpoint as an individual and as someone who has come of age, I've seen in this parliament, very rare Nigerians with very rare leadership qualities, people you can actually trust, people you can go to bed when they talk to you. And if I want to mention, I think one of such persons in this country is the Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. He's a man who believes that white is white, and if it is black, he's going to tell you. He's not afraid of anyone. Again, he carries out his leadership, in a way and manner that members are also satisfied that in whatever team Mr. Speaker tells you, that's exactly what it is. We trust him. We have total confidence in his ability to even represent the interests of the parliament, beyond. So I can tell you, if I'm asked a question, today to mention 3-4 honest Nigerians, I will tell you, number one, the Right Honorable Speaker, another young man from Akwa Ibom again, who has also impressed, that I will say again when he was in charge of the legislative agenda of the 10th House of Assembly, Dr. Patrick Umar, and maybe someone like Honorable Boma Goodhead.
You're not mentioning yourself among the three.
I'm talking about
you do not want to take credit.
No, I'm talking about people who are very close to being angels. I tell people that, no one is perfect. I've seen that in theological materials, that no man is perfect. But I can tell you that Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas is an excellent man. I've been a teacher before.
I totally get what you mean. And, it brings me to an issue, and this is an issue I even spoke about with a guest sometime last week. We had the opportunity to discuss the code of conduct for political office holders. And indeed, public servants, on the program here just last week. And it was quite illuminating. The thing is this, ethical lapses arising from self-interest or conflict of interest can erode public trust. And I said we were going to talk about the issue of public trust earlier, and this is it. It diminishes the legitimacy within the context of the National Assembly. Yeah.
Yes, my brother, let me just quickly make a point here.
Yes, please.
Because when you talk about the character, the personality, and the leadership of the Right Honourable Speaker,
yes,
it is also good to hear from members, people like us who have, one-on-one experience,
yes,
of his leadership. Some time ago, a federal teaching hospital in my constituency was recruiting. And they approached the Honourable Speaker. He directed the Honourable Speaker to liaise with the members from that locality. And the committee invited us and said, you are in a better position to understand, the needs of your people. What recommendations do you have? What quality of people do you think we can employ in this area? That ordinarily would have been an opportunity for the Right Honourable Speaker, to begin to recruit people from his own immediate constituency. I can tell you for free that
yes,
His Excellency Right Honourable Tajuddin Abbas has not, has not engaged in anything where conflict of interest will be discussed.
And
are
members following suit? Are members towing this same line? Because, when I was talking earlier about the code of conduct, when citizens perceive their members as corrupt or unethical, it damages, it gets to the very fabric of our democracy and weakens it. So yes, leadership provides a vision. Speaker Tajuddin Abbas is providing the vision and leading other members of the House falling in tow. Let me quote something that Honorable Rotimi Jr. Made a statement he made on this whole issue of integrity, and I would like to get your response to that. He said, when we as legislators uphold integrity, transparency, and accountability, we inspire confidence in the legislative process and reinforce the social contracts between the government and the governed. Is that what the 10th House of Representatives is doing? The Speaker, obviously, like you have said, is leading the way. Is the House collectively towing that line and following suit? And can you just say, how is the House doing that in so many ways?
Yes, in law, they say the facts speak for itself. The facts around this conversation speak for itself.
Okay.
Members, constituents, raise issues with members. How did the member handle the issue? It was brought before the leadership of the House. And within a period of 1 week, constituents began to see, efforts in this direction. Before now, constituents will raise issues as to critical situations surrounding their living. Members returned to Abuja and nobody said anything about it. So today you are beginning to see that. So for us as a parliament and taking, direct inspiration from the leadership of His Excellency Right Honourable Tajuddin Abbas, he reflects, the whole embodiment of the 10th House of Representatives. When you see him, you see the legislative agenda. When you see him, you see accountability. You see a reflection of transparency. We had an issue with him where when he was newly elected as Speaker, yes, and he had wanted, to even continue with his personal car, the one he was using as a member before that time. It took the intervention of the leadership to prevail on him that this is for the number 4 citizen of the country. It is not for Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. I recollect vividly well, how we were able to deal with that issue. He's a very selfless person. He's a man who wants members, to also excel. And that is why this issue of constituency project, he took it very seriously to ensure. Because again, when we came on board, we looked at certain critical sector that we felt, these are very, very important. One, the issue of security. We don't take motions on security for a joke at all.
Granted,
we take them very seriously. And in line with that, we initiated, the sectoral debate. And the first sector that we engage was the security agencies. And from time to time, as a whole house, we invite the security, the service chiefs, we interact with them, because security is a very important issue. The second important issue that is very dear to Mr. Speaker is the issue of education. And you can see that across the street, in fact, the 10th House of Representatives, we made it a cardinal objective that lawmakers must nominate construction of classrooms and furnishing of classroom as part of their constituency project. It is something we have done. It is a must, and that is why you see, the spread of new schools across the country. The credit goes to our lawmakers.
Great, fantastic. We're fast losing time. That's why I just want to hurry you along real quick. And I want to agree with you that yes, Speaker Abbas is leading and he's showing the way, showing the path. Are members falling in line? That was my question to you, actually. Are we seeing, let me transit and take that to a more expansive question. That now talks about, because you've already touched on that, the legislative agenda of this current House. I mean, you yourself already alluded, or in fact, not alluded, you admitted to the fact that the National Assembly still grapples, to launder its image before the public, in spite of all of these efforts that you've mentioned that have happened over the years. The House is still, in fact, right now as you and I speak, the House, the very National Assembly that you are part of, is being accused of engaging in premature political maneuvering and consigning itself, less with the people, because the elections are almost here. Do you sometimes feel like this laudable legislative agenda that the House has may be at variance with what the people really desire at certain points in time?
Well, in line with our open parliament mantra, we have engaged, a couple of stakeholders in some of our critical committee assignments, like the constituency, the Constitution Amendment Committee, who visited the 36 states. We have held town halls, both within the House and outside the House. And as a matter of fact, the conversations have always been about, first, we have built confidence. The issue of trust deficit between representatives and the employers and the people is actually not an issue with the parliament alone. We have reached a level where that even church members no longer trust their pastors. We have reached a point. It is a general issue.
So it's a systemic issue.
Yeah, it's a systemic issue. But again, the National Assembly identified that problem. If today you ask an Okada rider to take you to a certain destination, before now in Nigeria, if you are on that kind of ride, you just have peace of mind and he's taking you to the right destination. But today, you have that problem. So once the Okada man is leading, the problem is there in the church, the problem is there in government, the problem is there. So what we did as a parliament is to identify this critical problem. Because you find out that you are trying to provide service that the people do not believe in. Service that they need, but because they do not believe that it can even be achieved. So you see their reaction towards, what you are trying to do. So as a parliament, what we have been able to do is to take it first from ourselves. And I think in the last 2 years, we have been able to build, a high level of public trust through our legislative agenda that we have, turned beyond expectations. If you see the number of motions that we have been considered, the number of bills we have considered, the number of bills that have been signed into law, Nigerians for the first time in this country, are saying to us that yes, because before now, people didn't even know why lawmakers should be paid. But today they are seeing why, we are being paid. They are seeing the reason why people are being elected, and more people are developing interest in the workings of the parliament. That's why if we have a public hearing, you hardly can get a space to stay, because Nigerians are now more interested. Before now, when people mention the National Assembly or other government institutions, people just pick their luggages and begin to go home. That, well, if we say a thing, we express our opinion, it is not going to be carried. But today, Nigerians are seeing their opinion. I'll give you some examples in the past where...
We don't have time for examples. I understand we're totally out of time.
Okay.
It's a pity that, but of course, there are still a lot that we need to talk about as far as the National Assembly is concerned. And, you just raised the germane issue of payments and people not even understanding why National Assembly members should be paid. We would also like to know how much they are paid and, you know, how they are paid and the bonuses and allowances that they enjoy. But these are conversations for another time. We're totally out of time at the moment. I'd like to thank you so much, Honorable Philip Agbase, Deputy Spokesperson, House of Representatives. I'd like to thank you so much for coming on Insight. Now it's time to discuss Abuja's latest deadly problem, the activities of motor park operators, particularly the ones operating at informal motor parks in Abuja. Excuse the language, but if you describe them as touts, you know, you may not be far from the truth, considering how they've mostly conducted themselves around the nation's capital. These agboros, as we call them colloquially, present a complex challenge to the city's order, impacting everything from transportation cost to public safety and security. Let me bring in Honorable Emmanuel Iyang, Supervisory Councillor, Special Duty, Abuja Municipal Area Council, AMAC. Honorable, welcome to Insight.
Thank you for having me here.
Honorable, I'm sure you're aware of the activities of these motor park operators. You know, we call them agboros. Colloquially, that's what they are more popularly known. I should say, and you know, I am also sure that you are aware of how some of their operations have become deadly. A typical example is, you know, the fatal incident that played out recently at Mabushi area here in Abuja. I'll be surprised if you say you are not in the know. But what residents of Abuja would like to know from you is, in the immediate, is AMAC now collaborating with the Nigerian police force and other securities to identify, to arrest and prosecute the ringleaders of these agboro groups that we see everywhere, straddling parts of Abuja, who are molesting people, just about anyone with vehicle who stops at any bus stop to drop off anyone or someone, even if you're helping the person? Or is it that they are truly operatives of AMAC, sanctioned by your council to operate at these bus stops and allowed to display such level of violence and extortion like we've come to know?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank the NTA for giving us an opportunity to speak on this matter. It is a really deadly matter that every Nigerian in the FCT is worried about. And we as council, we are most worried because the name of the council is being dragged. I have listened to so many...
To the mud.
So many persons talked about the matter. Even on NTA, I've listened to NTA when they carried out some interviews on the street and what some Nigerians were saying. The fact of the matter remains that Nigerians should be able to demarcate between Abuja Municipal Area Council and the FCT's administration. Parks are not given out by the Abuja Municipal Area Council. Unfortunately, by the position of the Constitution, parks are supposed to be under the preview of the area council or local government, as the name implies. But here we are. Parks in the Federal Capital Territory are given out and controlled by the Transport Secretariat of the FCT administration and not AMAC.
Not supervised, because Transportation Secretariat will say they are supervising. AMAC is directly in charge of licensing and concessionaire.
That is what I'm telling you. We are not. We are not. I'm stating it very clear here that we are not. The truth of the matter. Find out. Make your findings. Investigative journalism. Do it. The persons that are operating these parks, who gave them letters, who gave them authority to operate? Is it AMAC or the FCT Transport Secretariat? The truth of the matter is that AMAC has never given any of these transport operators. All of them that are operating right now are operating with letters from the Transport Secretariat of the FCT administration, not AMAC. Now, by rights, AMAC is supposed to be the one to give license to them to operate within the area that is specified for them to operate and approved for them to operate. But in this instance, we don't do that. But as a council, we cannot fold our hands and allow the deadly situation to continue because it does not speak well of us. Nigerians may not know other agencies that I've just mentioned than the Abuja Municipal Area Council. And that is why in February...
And for many reasons too. Because these operatives that we're talking about, they do not wear FCTA Transport Secretariat vest or bibs or reflector jackets. What they wear clearly states AMAC.
Unfortunately, in February this year, when we discovered this trend that was going on with the reflective jacket like you just mentioned, the chairman of AMAC set up a task force team to go around in the city and apprehend any person found with our vest written AMAC on it or any polo with AMAC inscription on them. I can tell you we were able to do that, and this trend for a while stopped. Unfortunately, the trend has come up even more than what it was in the past. And that is why within this week, by the grace of God, the executive chairman is already putting up a task force that will last as long as it will to ensure that this menace that is being caused by these men called Touts or Agboros or whatever they call their name by inscription will be called to order. Let me give you an instance.
Please.
The chief of staff to the executive chairman of AMAC went to drop the sister who was on his way to Yanya Axis at Area 1. When he stopped to drop the sister, this same group of persons accosted him, jumped into his vehicle. He tried to introduce himself. He brought out his ID card and introduced himself as this and that of AMAC. They told him clearly that they are not responsible to report to AMAC, neither do they work under AMAC. That as far as they are concerned, they are union, National Union of Road Transport Workers.
Aha.
That they are Union of National Road Transport Workers. As such, they only listen to the union, not AMAC. Okay, fine. The question now is, they are union, agreed. We are not questioning whether union should operate or not to operate. But when you go out of the line or areas you're supposed to operate to cause mayhem in the society, you cannot use the name of union to continue to perpetuate evil. The fact, like I rightly mentioned, if we were the one giving out these parks, we can authoritatively close down any park we discover that are becoming a mess in the society.
But why? The point is, look, now, and yes, Honorable, sorry. You've made this very clear. But the Constitution is also very clear. And there is a subsisting judgment of a court of law in this land on this whole issue. And it is clear where the rights are. Who is authorized to grant license for park operations and who is authorized to grant concessionary rights to unions, to even the same road unions that you're talking about. So within the realms of ideal, or what is right, legal and constitutional, what is the standard operating procedure for motor parks, anywhere, maybe Abuja, for instance, in terms of fee collection, in terms of levies and other stuff? Why is AMAC in this precarious position, especially on licensing and concessionary agreements? With these road unions that you've talked about, whether it's the road Union of Road Transport Workers or the Road Transport Employees Association of Nigeria, as regards their operation at the parks, why should Abuja be different?
Fine, you've just said it all. Now, even not just the park, what about the market? What does the Constitution talk about the market? In most of the markets, they are not under us. For example, the Wuse market and the Gariki market. These are markets that are directly under the FCT administration, not the area council. So it's not just the issue of motor parks. You've stated it very clearly what the Constitution talks about, and that is true. But in the circumstance we all find ourselves here, like I said, this is an instance that the area council can take a stand on motor parks that are found to be involved in all of this. One of the Agboros that has sent out some information on social media, which is circulated everywhere, have made it very clear that unfortunately since that incident of that accident, and he has broken his leg and whatsoever since he was admitted in the hospital.
I think
yes,
you shared that link with me.
Up till today, he is saying that the union have not cared to visit him because he is not reporting to us. He is reporting to the union. And who gives the union license to operate? The Transport Secretariat.
So you have no inputs at all on this matter?
Exactly.
You have no linkage with any of these unions?
Exactly.
You do not have appointed officers working with any of the unions. You are just sitting and, let me not use a word that is But you can, I mean, how can you, at your level, a tier of government, I beg your pardon, sit hand in cheek and watch all of these play out and happen in a city like Abuja, which is supposed to be a model city as far as Nigeria is concerned?
Well, you see, we cannot use force to get all these rights you've all mentioned. We are dialoguing and believing that the dialogue will come out successfully. The FCT administration is our organization which oversees some activities of the area council. And as our mother and our father, we have to persuade and ask from our parents, who should also see reasons with us to allow some of these things to flow. Now, this thing has not started under this present administration. It was not started under the leadership of...
it did not just start yesterday.
Yes, these things have been there earlier before now. And the area council has been trying its best to make our leaders, our parents' body to reason with us, for us to be able to have control over these people. For example, sir, let me give you a typical example. There is a popular motor park at Nyanya. There's a popular motor park that so many Nigerians knows about it.
Is it the one close to the bridge?
Very good.
It's a no-go area for anyone. I dare not stop it. I cannot even stop my wife and let her I light from the vehicle.
Find out, make your findings. Those motor parks, even the bigger one, the one by your right hand, if you're going down, the one by your left-hand side. Find out from the operators of that motor park who gave them license. Who are they reporting to? Find out from them. None of them reports to the Abuja Municipal Area Council. But unfortunately, Nigerians do not know this, because Nigerians know what the Constitution has spoke about as far as parks and market and other things are concerned. So Nigerians, in their own belief, is that park is supposed to be under the area council. But in the circumstance that we find ourselves, this is the true situation. Parks are not under us, but rather parks are under the control of the Transport Secretariat of the FCT administration.
I must admit though, that we've seen part of what the Transportation Secretariat, or rather should I say FCDA or FCTA, is doing about these motor parks and, you know, developing new bus stops, creating modern ones in Abuja. But, you know, looking at the model and what you are saying here, and now AMAC should take the driver's seat. If AMAC is left with this duty, are you saying we would not be seeing some of what we're seeing play out presently? And how exactly would AMAC go about replacing some of these informal groups with a structure that is regulated, that perhaps is more transparent, you know, a transparent system that ensures that, yes, drivers pay what they are supposed to pay, people, you know, pay what they are supposed to, and that these monies or money all go into government coffers?
It can easily be done.
What model? How can it be done?
You see, what could have happened? We are not against our senior brother or our fathers being part and parcel to ensure that things work well. But in doing this, there should be cohesion there should be understanding between the owners of this and you that have come in to help. A situation that you came in to help and you decide to take over, and you do not allow those who own it to be part of it any longer. Because the fact remains that these things are locals, and we are local government called area council. We know we can easily identify some of these boys that are on the street causing this mayhem. If we are involved in collaboration with our father, with our parents, in ensuring that before a license is given, who are those people that license is being given?
Your parents here now is FCDA.
I have said it very clear. I have said it very clear here. And I've made it very clear that we don't give out license, neither do we even supervise. I have said it that the transport
this is not AMAC pushing the buck here. This is AMAC stating the facts
very
as,
clear.
As it is.
Very clear. We are not. And I'm saying it here. This is a public national television. I'm saying it here. That we are not. Unfortunately, like I said, Nigerians do not know all of this. Nigerian knows that parks are supposed to be under the control of local government or area council.
I hear you.
And because of that, Nigerians do not mention any other agencies or organization except AMAC. So I have listened to all what people have said in different fora.
You won't blame the residents of Abuja.
Exactly, that is what I'm saying.
You can't blame them. But, Honorable, let me defer to you on that issue. There's another issue, apart from motor parks. There's another issue. You know, the issue that has to do with thugs who also wear the same armored bibs and jackets, and, you know, they also say or claim that they work for the Department of Outdoor Advertisement and on signage, who collect levies and other bogus charges on behalf of, again, AMAC and, you know, the Outdoor Advertisement Agency. Okay. You know, these ones, they are a threat to dispatch riders, to taxi drivers. In fact, you can't drive a Sienna vehicle and go and drive in peace in any road in Abuja. They harass people, they are brash, you know, they are trucks. Look, Honorable, are you also denying this set of people?
Okay, let me come here. I cannot deny them. Now, let me make it very clear here. We have those who are involved in what we call mobile adverts.
Yes.
Mobile advert involve vehicles that have inscriptions on them.
We are not saying that they are not supposed to pay.
I'm coming, sir. Then we also have the one you've just mentioned, this delivery bike that delivers
dispatch
riders and all of that.
Yes.
By the position of the law, both even the bylaws of the council and the law establishing local government and area council, who empowers area council source of revenue generation. Sir, we cannot in any way stand to defend what is not right. Whenever we give out consultancy to any of these agencies to help the council in generating revenue in the outdoor, like you rightly mentioned, and all of that, we carried out trainings. Now,
are you sure?
So I'm coming.
Are you sure? These people act like urchins. Have you seen them? In fact, most times they don't have any valid means of identification.
I'm coming. We carry out trainings for them. Now, the consultant will give out these areas to generate revenue for us, recruit these persons, bring to us, we profile them. After profiling them, we train them. But sir, you see, the truth of the matter is that whenever you send people to go and do a job for you, the tendencies of some persons who are either omission by or commission goes out of the framework given to them to do. I am not in any way saying that what you've mentioned may not be true or may be true.
Yes.
The fact remains that, like as at this week that we are resuming, all those involved in the mobile advert are to report to the council under the office of the chief revenue officer for profiling. Okay. Why? Because of some of these issues that have been said here and there on the activities on the road. Because it is clearly not within the context of what we gave out to the consultant to handle for us. And they go out there using our names or whatsoever means to dent the good image for the purpose for which they were given to do this. What you have mentioned, there are other group of persons who are also involved in revenue generation, which is daily ticketing.
Yes.
Apart from the mobile advert, we also have what we call daily ticketing. Those are the people that collect stipends from taxis that drive within the city.
And Honorable, sorry to interject here. I don't think residents of Abuja have a problem with paying these dues. I don't think Uber drivers, I don't think dispatch riders, I don't think they would have a problem paying these levies. You know, if it's very organized and, you know, they are sure they are paying to the right sources and right persons. What residents are mostly concerned about is the way these, and I will use the word again, urchins conduct themselves, waving sticks as if they are chasing thieves, hitting people, you know, deflecting tires, and acting in brash manners. I mean, I think the police should also look into this.
Let me give you a scenario. I was on the road one day and I saw some persons on the road trying to stop a truck with sticks. I have to clear. I called the attention of the leader of the group and trying to why AMAC people should be involved in. But at the end of the day, sir, when I called them for interrogation and all of that, I discovered that they were not from AMAC. AMAC are not the ones handling bigger vehicles like trucks, That is not under the preview of the area council, but under the preview of the transport secretariat.
Again, the transport secretariat.
Under the preview, any truck, any long truck you see, this bigger vehicle, those luxurious buses and what have you, and you still see these men on the road with long sticks trying to stop this group of vehicles that I've just mentioned. The ones that are under AMAC are smaller vehicles.
Honorable, because we're out of time,
okay,
do we get any guarantee that things will change?
I can assure you that within the week, we are trying our best to ensure that things get better and right. Things will be done as soon as possible. That I can assure you.
We would hold you to that. We would hold the council to that, and we'll be monitoring. As NTA would monitor the situation in the coming days, and we'll see how things have changed for the better. Honorable Emmanuel Enyang, Supervisory Councillor, Special Duty, Abuja Municipal Area Council, AMAC, thank you so much for coming on Insight.
Thank you for having me. We are grateful.
And that's it for this week on Insight. See you again next week. Bye for now.